listening to the Bird Dog Babe podcast with my mom, Courtney Bastion.
Hey, Bird Dog Babes. My name is Courtney Bastion, and I am obsessed with all things bird dogs. And I'm here with you to share the stories, experiences, knowledge, and opinions from the women and a few guys in the industry that are killing it. I'm a Wisconsin girl living in a Montana world. I'm mom and two incredible kiddos, wife and occasional assistant to a pro gun dog trainer, traveling the U.S. talking about canine nutrition while hunting, breeding, and competing with my German wire hair pointers and Bracco Italianos. As someone who started hunting later in life because I wanted to give my dogs the opportunity to do what they were bred to do, I'm here to help inspire, educate, and connect women to get their bird dogs out in the field and experience a bond like no other. So pour yourself a glass of wine and get ready to be challenged and encouraged while you learn. This is the Bird Dog Babe podcast. The Bird Dog Babe Patreon patrons are the biggest and best supporters of this podcast. I do not make money at this. In fact, there's a decent amount of expenses I endure. It's a labor of love that I spend a lot of time on every week researching, creating outlines, editing, and interviewing because I love learning, educating, inspiring, and connecting people with similar interests. It's the 5-star ratings you leave and the incredible reviews that keep me rolling these out for you every Tuesday morning. Which, by the way, if you haven't left a rating and review on iTunes yet, please do me a huge favor and submit one because it helps a lot and keeps me inspired. Send me a screenshot of it and your address and I'll mail you out a Bird Dog Babe sticker. I'm extremely grateful for the 50 Patreon patrons I have that support this podcast and help keep those MP3s rolling. So I sent out an invite to get a few to join me for the bonus episode to share a bit about them, their bird dogs, their favorite hunting experience, and a piece of gear this season, their favorite recipe, and something they'd like to improve on before next year. I've included all those recipes discussed in this episode on my website, which you can view on thebirddogbabe.com/Patreon patron recipes. Or click on the link that I'm going to have in the show notes. I've had the opportunity to hunt with 8 of my Patreon patrons this season, which was a treat for me because up until this year, I hadn't hunted with many women. Next year, I'm working on organizing more hunts, more learning opportunities, and events. Once a month, we have a private patron session for Q&A with experts. I offer exclusive discounts with partners of the podcast. I've given away some t-shirts, a pair of the awesome Pros Upland pants. Each of them received a box of either the Purina Fortiflora or Calming Care, and they had first dibs to the hunting and shooting clinics I helped host. What else? Our 12-week canine conditioning program is on there, puppy training videos, and a how-to video on stacking puppies on a table without having their face full of food. Lots of good and fun stuff happening in that space, and I'm always looking for ways to bring more value and keep that community engaged. And this isn't just a women's group. We have both, and actually the stats say 52% of the audience are men, which is pretty cool. I know there are a lot of upland, bird dog, and waterfowl podcasts out there, which I also listen to and love. So I'm grateful you're tuning in here once a week to listen to mine, and you're enjoying the different type of content I'm bringing to the table. Anyhow, if you're interested in joining the fun, perks, and community, go to patreon.com/thebirddogbabe to join for $5 per month. That's the cost of 1 cup of coffee per month. And if you can't, no worries, but I'd sure appreciate you taking the couple minutes to leave a review and rating. Thanks everyone. It's been an interesting year, but hope you were able to get out with your bird dogs and had a great season. I'm sad our season in Montana is a few days from being done, but husband and I are joining some friends in a few weeks to chase some chukar, which will be a first for me. So I'm excited to experience that transition with the dogs on a new species and new terrain. Wishing you all the very best in 2021, and thanks again for your support and listening. All right, let's get after it. Thank you to sponsor Dakota 283. Unparalleled protection for traveling to and from your favorite hunting spot. Dakota 283 kennels are premium quality rotomold with recessed handles on top for convenient and safe tie down and makes it easy to lift up into the truck. I love the secure door frame with high security locks so I know my dogs are safe when I need to stop for fuel. An added bonus is the drain hole in the back, which makes cleaning a breeze when your dog has been run hard and put away wet. Head over to Dakota283.com and use promo code BirdDogBabe for a 10% discount. Thanks to sponsor Xcel Shooting Sports, elite dealer of Caesar Guarini, Fab Arm, and Siren shotguns. Siren is the world's only full line of shotguns created for the female competitor, hunter, and shotgun enthusiast. Xcel is one of only 4 demo centers west of the Mississippi. They give you the opportunity to actually try out a gun before you walk out the door with it. As an elite dealer for Caesar Guarini, Xcel offers their customers unlimited pit stops of free service and tune-ups on all shotguns. A great way to have your gun in top condition for the upcoming hunting or target season. In addition, they're offering an exclusive deal to all of the Bird Dog Babe listeners for a free gun slip with each purchase, a $90 value.
So my name is Chrystelle Vale, and I am from Watertown, South Dakota. We've been here like 5 years or so, but I've been in South Dakota longer than that. Originally from Nebraska area, but I'm new to hunting. So I've only been hunting a couple of years, really. I've been going with my husband and walking along for several years, but really wanted to get more into it and focus on it more the last couple of years. So I have 2 dogs, one that's, my husband would say one that's an actual functioning dog because I have a little dog too and he doesn't really count her. So I have a black lab named Scout and she's 4. And I have a little Morkie named Chloe and she is like 13. So we're looking at adding to our like pack of dogs, I guess. And I get to pick what I want for my dog, as it's supposed to be for me then for when we go out hunting. So I'm debating between breeds right now, but pretty much my husband has said he'd like me to get a lab or a golden. So I don't know who's making this choice, if it's really my choice or not, but we'll go with whatever he lets me get, I guess. Something that I've learned in regards to bird dogs and hunting this season. My dog is way tougher than I am, I feel like. Scout is like, just go, go, go. We'll go through anything. She's a tiny lab. She's only like 40, 45 pounds. But when we walk through really thick cattails, I'm like cussing under my breath the whole time because I'm short and it's hard to get through them. A lot of effort is required, and my dog just attacks them like it's no big deal, and she just keeps putting her nose to the ground and trying to find the pheasants and stuff. So I have huge respect for my dog because I just feel like, wow, I need to be like her. A little more go, 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 and a little less complaining and cussing under my breath, but my husband takes me through really tough stuff. And part of that, I don't know if that's just his way of trying to like toughen me up. Like he feels like, we're going to go through all this stuff. He tells me that the pheasants are there, but I have yet to see that happen when we run through a lot of that really thick stuff too. So like, I feel like he's like trying to punish me or something. My favorite hunting experience this year, probably, I have a couple, probably getting my buck was a big one. This is only my second year going deer hunting, and last year I wasn't even sure if I'd be able to shoot one because I've never done it before, and they're beautiful, and I thought, I like to eat them, but can I be the one who's going to shoot it? But I really love the peace and quiet that you have when you're out there just kind of waiting and watching them come in. And before my buck came in, actually there was a bigger buck, of course, that came in before I could shoot. And so I was like, well, maybe he'll just go off into the tree line and then he'll come back here in a little bit. So I was like, we'll just wait. And then mine came out probably like 20 minutes later, but I had my kind of a funny story. I don't know how in-depth you want us to get with all these stories. But, my husband is a lot taller than I am, and I'm kind of a shorty. And when we were when we put out the blind like 2 weeks earlier, we put it in this tree line, like a land blind in this tree line. And he brought these like bag chairs in for the blind, which if you're going to sit there all day, yeah, they're way more comfortable than sitting on those tiny little hunting chairs. But I'm short and I sink down in those bag chairs. So my husband, this buck comes out and my husband's like, are you ready? Can you see it? Do you want it? And you can take it. It's a shooter. Do you want it? And he's like getting me like really excited and anxious because he's like peppering me with all these questions. And do you see it? Do you have a good shot? You know? And I'm like, calm down. Like, I just need to take a moment here. I'm like, I am not in the right position. I can't even like get my gun up right. Like, I feel like I'm off kilter. Like, this is not a great position for me. And he's like, well, if you're going to take it, you're going to have to take it soon. And so I was like, just be quiet. Leave me alone for a second. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, I am never going hunting with you again. Like, this is terrible. It's super stressful right now for having you like pepper me with all these things. But anyway, so I lined up and I'm like, okay, I got a good shot. I feel comfortable about it. And I shot and the deer took off the way that it had come. And I was like, well, crud, I totally missed him then. Like, I must have missed him. He shot out so fast. And I was like, great, I missed him. He's like, did you miss him? Did you get him? I'm like, I don't know. I probably missed him. I'm just thinking, I can't hit birds right now. So I probably missed this big, huge buck that was in front of me. And he's like, I'm like, well, wait, maybe I should just get set up again. He's like, whoa, 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 whoa. He's like, we need to go and check and see if you hit it. So part of me was like, I'm really mad because I wanted to have it set up a little bit differently. And next time I'm going to have it set up the way that I want to have it set up for me in my mind. But then I'm also like, okay, let me go out there. I'll go out there and I'll check and I'll just see if I can find some blood. And he's like, just calm down. I'm going to go, I'll walk, I'll find some blood. And if I find it, then I'll call you out and then we can go look together. So I'm watching him through my binoculars, like, okay, does he see anything? It doesn't look like he sees anything. And the area that we were in had like tree lines and then food plot and then an empty space. So you couldn't see over some of these hills. And he stops and he calls me out. And so I'm running out there like a little dork, just so excited because I'm like, okay, he found blood. Here's the next step. And I get out there and I'm like, you found some blood? And he's like, well, look over there. And it was just laying there dead in the field right next. So I was pretty stoked. That was a fun experience for me. And yeah. And then we did get a new duck blind this year, an A-frame duck blind, because my husband had these Momarsh chairs for duck hunting. And I don't know if you've ever had one of those or used them before, but I am clearly not coordinated enough to do that. Too much of a novice to be able to hit the bar right so that the thing flies back and then I can get my gun up and I can actually shoot at the bird and hit it. So we got this A-frame blind this year. And so that was fun to duck hunt in that with Scout and just be able to let her loose after we've shot down a few of them and then have her go and retrieve them, and just to watch her work was really cool. So I sent you my favorite bird recipe. I actually asked my husband. I've been cooking wild game since I met my husband. Did not grow up in a hunting family or anything, so that was totally new when I met him, but was really excited to be able to use the resources in our land to be able to feed ourselves. And especially with COVID, I don't know if you guys went through this, but our stores out here were like totally picked clean of meat and everything. And so I was so thankful, like just thinking about what a great thing it is to be able to go out and shoot something to provide and harvest that and then be able to eat and not have to worry about, well, is the grocery store going to get in any meat this week that I'm going to be able to get for my family? I can just go to my freezer and I can get it out. So I've really enjoyed learning how to prepare different things. And I think I'm getting braver in my preparation or like what recipes I want to tackle. I just was listening to a podcast about organ meat and I thought I would never, ever want to try to cook tongue and liver and heart. But now I'm like, oh, I really want to try that. So that's kind of a big thing for this city girl, because I don't feel like I've really grown up with the whole hunting lifestyle. So trying to learn more about it. But I love to cook. And so I asked my husband what his favorite recipes of mine were. And he said chicken fried pheasant, which is very, very good. Not so healthy per se, but every once in a while, it's great to kind of let loose and have a little bit of a cheat there. And we make, every Christmas Eve, I make pheasant roll-ups. I mean, you can make them anytime, but there's a local guy from South Dakota here who I know through family friends, and he and his wife put together a cookbook called Brewsters. And he has a lot of pheasant recipes in there. Plus they have like sides and desserts and stuff like that. But every recipe that we've had in there has been fantastic. And that just happens to be one that it's quick, it's easy, it saves well so that you can actually eat it the next day and just kind of heat it up on the stove. Or take it out in the field if you're going to go hunting and just kind of heat it up there on a stove if you want. But the roll-ups are really good. And who doesn't like bacon? So they have bacon with it. So those are the two that I sent to Courtney. And I hope you guys get to enjoy them as well. This, as I said earlier, like this is kind of my second year really trying to get more experience with hunting and learning more. And so this year I finally was like, I'm going to order some pieces of clothing that actually are made for women and fit me instead of wearing my husband's hand-me-downs because they're so long in the arms and just not functional. So this year I got several pieces, including a Proas jacket, which I really like. But I got the neck gaiter this year for, I was thinking for duck and for pheasant. It's usually cold out here, so it's very rare that I actually get to go pheasant hunting when it's nice and warm and I don't have to wear like a neck gaiter and a coat and a hat and like several layers. And we're not trudging through snow. This year's a little bit different, but anyway, I bought this neck gaiter and that probably is actually my favorite thing, which is funny because it's a neck gaiter. It's not anything like complex or technical or anything. So I really like that. Plus I got a pair of Danner hunting boots for women, and I've tried lots of different boots and these are super light, which I love because it's like I said earlier, it's a lot of the stuff that we hunt a lot of public land and it's thick and it's hard to walk through sometimes and my feet get caught and it's a lot. I've noticed like the last couple times that we've gone out pheasant hunting in some of the public lands with these new boots that I don't tend to get stuck quite as much, but they're also come up over my ankles to protect my ankles so that if I fall in holes and stuff because everything's uneven, you never know where you're stepping quite on areas that I don't have to risk an injury. So, and they're waterproof and stuff. And so I like those too. So something I want to learn or improve on before next season. I have a lot, but primarily I think just getting more consistent with shouldering my gun in the right position and hitting more. So just my shooting skills, I think I have a lot that I can improve upon with that. Yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you, Chrystelle.
Yeah.
That was quite the story with the deer hunting.
Yeah, if you could have been there, I was kind of yelling at him a little bit. I can relate. For these husbands too, or like if you have like, I don't know if everybody who brought them into hunting, but for my husband in particular, like he's very patient with me, but then I think he thinks I need to do everything the way that he does it. Mm-hmm. And so that's maybe been a learning experience for both of us that, hey, what works for you is probably not always going to work for me, which is why I appreciate being able to listen to your podcast too and get ideas from other women and what's worked for them because we are different.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Sara. I live out here in the Central Valley of California. I've lived here for about 2 years now. I'm originally from Kentucky, and I tend to move fairly frequently with my job as a biologist. So just kind of enjoying California. Here for the couple years. They have quite an upland scene, so keep that quiet. Shh. I have one dog, currently. He's a 2.5-year-old Pudelpointer. His name is Rico. His official name is Windy Sage High Roller, but I just say Rico because that is too long to say. But he's quite a pup. I really like him. He's a goofball. But something I've learned this year in regards to dogs and hunting is pheasants are tough to kill, and they run like crazy. And I learned this because I'm like, yes, I have harvested some planted birds, but it's different. So I took a trip practically the whole month of November and traveled to South Dakota for a couple weeks and went after some pheasants. So that was my first introduction to wild pheasants and Rico's first introduction to wild pheasants. And I have a whole new respect for how tough those birds are. And it was great. It was such a wonderful trip. I got to go home. Like I said, I was from Kentucky and see family and Thanksgiving, and then come back across and do a little hunting in Kansas on my way back. And I'll kind of get more into that a little later. But some other lessons that I've learned is I'm learning how to take better care of Rico's feet. I live, like I mentioned before, I live here in the Central Valley, but it's about 2 hours away from chukar hunting or desert hunting. And here in the Central Valley, it's pretty there's really not a lot of tough things for them to go running through. So once you get out in the desert, they can tear up their feet pretty quickly. So I've been getting better and better at watching that and making sure that he stays operable so I can continue hunting. So it's been fun, and it's definitely been a learning experience, and I'm pretty sure Rico appreciates me doing a better job of keeping him healthy and going.
Sarah, I'm sorry to interrupt. Are you using boots with him, or what are you doing to help better manage that? I've been doing the conditioning, trying to get him out there on some of that rougher stuff, but just not for as long. But yes, I've experimented with several types of boots, from, I think Scott's has like an orange Cordura boot, and then like rough paws or whatever one that one is, has rough
like
wear.
Snowshoes. Yeah, It has some like snowshoes, because I like the thinner stuff. I've got some Lewis, but for me they're like a pain in the butt to get on and off. But they do work really well. I mean, they're solid boots. And I've also been experimenting with putting baby socks on between that, because I had noticed that he had some little rub spots on the top of his knuckle there. So just trying to work with that, and I think I was pleasantly surprised. I was able to keep his feet in operable condition the whole 10 days I was out in South Dakota, and we worked west from east. So, and I had to boot him up a whole lot more in the west because there was cactus and stuff like that. And he's a sensitive dog. So if he steps on a cactus, he's like, oh God, So trying to keep him ranging wide, it kind of helps if I keep his feet, out of the cactus. And the issue I had kind of more in the central and eastern was all that grass. And it kind of rubbed like the hair off of the top of his feet, not so much on the under, because usually I have issues with the under part, not that his feet they just get red. That's all, kind of like a hot spot type thing. But then I just used kind of thin ones just to kind of put a barrier between all the native prairie grass and his feet. So that's kind of what I used for that. And I think one of the bigger lessons is that I've learned that I want to do more long distance trips with my hunting dog. So that was really fun. It was epic, and is the term I would like to use. I had a wonderful time, and definitely want to do that in the future. I'm planning on adding another dog this summer. I'm planning to get another Pudelpointer, and that should be fun. That'll give Rico a little bit more rest, and definitely because basically what we did, since I only had one dog and I'm by myself solo, I basically just did half days. We would just do like a morning hunt or a golden hour evening hunt, and that's it. And the rest of the time would be scouting and looking around. Because I did get drawn for like the non-resident waterfowl, so I would go, look for, the stock tanks and the little ponds and stuff, and see if there was waterfowl on it. So definitely going to up my dog power a little bit for next year, or really the year after that. But so that should be exciting for the future. I think my favorite hunting experience this year, and kind of really, it's kind of every year, but, you've been out there working, trying to, chasing these birds around, trying to find them. Your dog's been out there for an hour or 30 minutes or whatever, and they finally turned up a bird, and you actually hit it and bring it down. But whenever Rico comes back to me, he'll fetch the bird and bring it back and sit and present. It's just, you see that accomplished look on his face when he approaches you after that first bird of the day, and you can tell like that smile kind of reaches his eyes and kind of squints a little bit, and that just kind of warms the heart when you see that. So that's my favorite experience. And it doesn't happen on every trip, but most trips I usually get at least something. I don't usually get skunked, but just trying to, that accomplishment look is really cool. I think my kind of unique experience, at least it was a first for me and a bucket list, is I got to go sandhill crane hunting in Kansas this year. And I wanted to go for 2 days, but we got weathered out on the second day. But I will say that first day totally made up for it. It was an experience to have, 50 to 100 cranes with the landing gear down coming into the decoys, and you've got just strings everywhere up close. That was really cool, and just to hear them and just kind of being present in that situation was really cool. That was great. And I was able to get my limit that day, which was 3. Everybody had it. Like, when you have 75, 100 cranes coming down on you, and they're basically at like 15 yards or something like that. So it was really cool. And I got to try for the first time those sandhill crane steaks. And people aren't lying. They are the ribeye of the sky. I was a little nervous about it, but after that first bite, I'm like, I'm sold. I'm totally doing this again. But so that was kind of one of my favorite hunting experiences this year. And you know what? The hunting season's not over, so far, that's my favorite hunting experience so far this year. We've got till February, and then it kind of winds down. But looking forward to making more good experiences. I think my favorite bird recipe, it's just kind of my go-to, and I'm sure it's a go-to for pretty much everybody, are poppers. I'm a little simple. I like simple things. And quick things, and you just can't go wrong with duck poppers, quail poppers, whatever. It's just bacon with a piece of breast or the whole breast, and then you put some cream cheese, and I know cream cheese and some jalapeno, and then you just roll it up and throw it on a nice hot grill. It's simple, it's delicious. If you have any any friends out there or relatives that are, oh, I don't like duck, or, oh, I don't like, birds or something, you feed them that and they're like sold. They're like, oh my God, this is, of course I will say that, yeah, the bacon and stuff kind of cover up the natural taste, but they do love it. I think another one that I really like is it's out of Hank Shaw's duck goose waterfowl cookbook, and that's that honey glazed smoked duck. Wow, that stuff is just so good. It just has that glaze that you put on there, and then the brining and stuff. It just, I love making that smoked duck out of the smoker I have in the backyard. It's just, that's just to die for in my mind. My favorite go-to piece of gear is I just love that Q5 centerfire vest, our hunting pack, our upland pack or whatnot. Living out here in Central California, kind of Southern California, depending on, who you're talking to. It's hot. We're finally in the season where it's somewhat comfortable, but, in that early season in October, it's 90, 100, 80, above what usually people like to bring their dogs out into. And you need so much water. I never bring enough water, it seems like. And thank goodness I know where springs are and, hydrants and water. I don't venture too awfully far from some sort of water source just in case I run out of water. But yeah, I can't give Rico enough. So that right there has a lot of capacity, and it's got, and you can you keep plenty of birds in there. Of course, here in California, you've got several species you can go after, valley quail or California quail, mountain quail, chuckers, pheasants maybe, because there's some wild ones out there, but, and I have witnessed one, but for the most part, not so much. And then waterfowl, but I don't really use it for waterfowl. But yeah, so you could just keep all copious amounts of water. And then of course, you have to have your first aid kit and your snacks and my phone and, all the little, shell pockets. It's modular. You can take it on and off, take different things on and off depending on what you need. So I really like that. And definitely one of my go-to pieces of gear. Something I'd like to learn, or improve on before next season, is fairly similar to what Chrystelle said, is that need to work on that shot sequence. I think pheasants would be easier to kill if I could settle on them and pull and squeeze the trigger off instead of snap shooting at them. So, but I think that's just me being a newbie pheasant hunter and just having to, calm down a little bit. And settle in. So, so that would be good. And I'm sure that, I hunt with a couple different guns. I have a Benelli SBE2 and kind of a Stoger Uplander side-by-side 20 gauge and stuff like that. And for the most part, those are men's guns. So they have a two. I'm just 5'4" short, gal. So I'm pretty sure those have too long a length of pull. So perhaps having a better fitting gun would also help the situation a little bit. But still, I don't think that getting it up, that would at least help with snap shooting or kind of more of that quick offhand stuff. But I can't make too many excuses for my poor shooting. I just need to settle in a little better. But so that, and, I guess on the waterfowl scene, I think one thing I wouldn't mind doing is becoming a better goose and, greater white-fronted geese, or speckle bellies as some folks call them, or most folks call them, doing better, learning how to call those, because I can call ducks and whatnot, but the geese scene I haven't really jumped into, and I'd like to expand on that. So that, and then also, go down to Arizona and go after some merns and scaled quail. So that'd be something I'd like to learn.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's right next door. Arizona's just right over there, and I still haven't gone yet. But by golly, I'll go to South Dakota and Kansas, but I won't go to Arizona. It doesn't make sense.
Well, South Dakota season is open until January 31st now, so I'm thinking we should all have a trip there sometime in January and do a hunt together, and then so we can buy our license for 2021 and use it in January. Then we can have another year, because they do that 2 5-day period. So then we can go back sometime in the fall or winter.
There you go. That's a thought.
I'm in.
Hey, I am excited to be here. My name is Pamela Patton. I live in Enola, Pennsylvania, and I've been hunting, doing the birds and the dog thing since probably 2005. I have Pudelpointers, and I have a Drahthaars, and Monday I will find out if my one Pudelpointer, I bred her, I'm a breeder also, if she is going to be pregnant. I'm going to run a pregnancy test on her Monday and find out if I'm going to have puppies, which is exciting. I brought the Drahthaars in. She came from South Dakota. She's a pup from Lana Clark, who also lives in Watertown, by the way. And I had a Drahthaars before her, but she unfortunately passed away. And so I just thought it was time to bring another one in. I kind of like having two different breeds, just to kind of show the diversity of all, what all they can do. Obviously, some of them are stronger in other areas than others, but I like to make sure that they can all do fire, blood, water, and upland, and that's a big thing for me. Something I learned in regards to dogs and bird hunting this season, I learned that you can stick a young puppy on a 3-week trip, and she can actually keep up more than people think. It wasn't hard running or anything. It wasn't like going to cattails or anything like that. It was just basically rough grouse hunting in the woods, and she did awesome. And that was the Drahthaars puppy. She did awesome. I hunt primarily upland. Rough grouse is my favorite. And in Pennsylvania, unfortunately, they are suffering a lot. Numbers are way down, and there's a lot of different reasons. So this year I decided that I was going to go somewhere where the numbers are pretty strong, and I took a 3-week vacation to Minnesota, which for me, I've been to North Dakota, South Dakota, I've been to Minnesota before, I've been to Maine. I hunt a lot in northern Pennsylvania, and this hunting trip was probably one of the nicest trips I've ever been on. We did a B&B, Airbnb, rented a house, had 5 dogs, and it was, we hunted every day for 3 weeks, and we saw lots of grouse, and I was able to experience the woodcock migration, which if you have never been involved in or got to experience it, it is a great, great thing. There are just so many birds that you improve your shooting, your dog gets to work on, wild birds, and woodcock are great for puppies, because a lot of times they hold a little bit better than a grouse will, and it was a lot of fun. I would do that again in a heartbeat. I mean, it was a lot of driving. It was like a 20-hour drive. And I don't recommend doing it in one day. I recommend kind of breaking it up. It just wears you down a little bit. But if you have to, you can do it. We did it coming home. We drove straight through, which, with dogs you stop and get gas and all that good stuff. So that was not straight through, but straight through. My place that I want to go next year, I would really love to go to Montana and hunt. It's probably a 3-day drive to get there, and that kind of puts a little bit of a damper on it for me. But it's always in the back of my mind. There's just so many species that you, Courtney, can go after, and it just is like a dream to go out there. A friend of mine goes out and spends a month in Montana and hunts, and it just sounds like it's a great place to go. So
well, I think we should have a patron hunt next year, for sure.
Well, I do too. I hate. Yeah, I agree with you, but it would have to be. I'd have to bring my dog. That would be.
Well, of course. And, of course you would. Yes.
I don't know. I would definitely be into it. For sure. And the other thing that I was thinking is, I'm apprenticing in NAVDA, and I could actually that could be an out of chapter event for me, obviously. But yeah, Montana is a goal of mine to get to eventually, or next year. My favorite piece of gear has to be, there's two actually. The Instinct watch, which I'm not a gadget girl. I don't want to say that I can't use them. I'm kind of like a bare bone, basic functioning person, and the Instinct to me seems like it might be more of a hassle than anything, but I can honestly say that it actually wasn't that much of a struggle, and I love it. I wouldn't go hunting without it. I have a Garmin 550 Plus Pro, and I mean, that's got the GPS on it, and you can pick it up and look at it, but the watch is right on your wrist. You can roll it over and you can look and say, so-and-so's here and so-and-so here. I just wouldn't be without it. And I run 3 dogs, so it is kind of chaotic times, but it works, and I like it. The other thing that I really like is the vest that I got. I think it's an early rise vest. It's a
Final Rise, right?
Final Rise, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I really like that vest. For some people, maybe I'm a tall person. I'm 5'10" and a half, and I'm not little and petite, and it might be a little much for a smaller framed person, but I liked it. I like it. You can carry all kinds of things and shells and there's just you can take your first aid kit and water and everything you need can go in that vest, and then you have plenty of room to put game that you shoot. So I really like that vest, and those are my 2 favorite pieces of hunting apparel or gear that I got this year. I did get a new pair of boots, the Kenner Truck. I like them. I'm getting ready to find out how they do in the snow, but they were better than my other boots. I forgot what they were, but they were definitely worn out, and I needed new boots. So I like the Kenner Trucks. They're light, and now I wouldn't think that I don't think they'll be good with really freezing cold weather, but for something like I'm having now, it's like, we've got 10 inches of snow and it's probably 30 degrees out. I'm pretty sure they're going to be fine. Something that you want to learn to improve on next season. Well, obviously, I'm with everybody else. hitting what you're shooting at. And I have to say that I think one of the best podcasts that you've put on, Courtney, was the one that was just done with the boss shells. I cannot tell you how much I learned from that, and I am, so stoked that there's a company out there that is worrying about, footprints, and they're doing everything they can to get rid of lead. They don't have any lead in their shells, and I think that's a wonderful thing. And I cannot wait to actually pattern my gun when they get them back in stock, because I think that's a big, I agree totally with what he said, that people that, hunt upland and, rough grouse and ringnecks and all that good stuff, they don't go out and they don't pattern their gun, and they don't know. And I totally think that was just very informative, and I can't wait to get them and get that done. I do have 2 shotguns I use. I have a Benelli 12 gauge, the semi-automatic that has sadly been downgraded to my second gun. My first gun that I really like is a Browning ultralight. It's a 28 gauge, and I just love it. It works well for me. It's a shorter barrel, and I seem to be able to maneuver and handle it a lot better than I can the 12 gauge. And at some point I am going to get a siren shotgun, just because I've tried them. I love them. It's just, it's not the right time in my life, but I look forward to that. I think it's a great thing that they build them for women, because, hey, we are different, and we've known we're different. We've always known we're different. It's about time that some retailers and manufacturers acknowledge that. But I just really appreciate everything that you're doing, Courtney, and you're kind of like an inspiration for me. I don't know that I should say this, and it's not really one of the questions, but I do. I totally just appreciate everything that you do. You rock it, and I am in all of everything you do, actually. So
you're super sweet, Pam.
That's pretty much my story.
I love it. Very good. Very, very good. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And
for doing
I
this.
agree. The boss episode for me, you don't think of, okay, this is an episode about ammo, right? Am I going to listen to it? Am I not going to listen to it? But there was so much in there that, and I even got feedback from several other people of, I don't know why I needed to hear this episode so much, but I needed to hear it, and it did my heart good. Like stuff like that. And I couldn't agree more. I've listened to it 3 times, once because I was there, a second time for editing, and a third time just because I loved the episode so much.
It was.
But yeah.
If you didn't listen to it, ladies, go listen to it, because it's an eye-opening experience. And I never really thought about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
And, and if it's true, and it sounds like it is, there's no reason to be shooting lead ever.
Right.
So,
and it's one of those things that you just didn't know any different, because we're taught one thing. This is what you do. You go to the store, you buy 7s, 5s lead, because that's, and then, or else you go and you get steel. And I didn't even know, I'm sure the duck hunters knew more about it and they're familiar with it, but I didn't even know the issues of shooting steel, of how many birds they're crippling, and because it's not an effective load for the kill. So, a company that actually believes that much in the birds and nesting, I'm like, oh God, I loved it. I love it. They're a great group. Yeah. And their customer service is amazing too. And that's something I really appreciate in companies, of if you have questions or problems, and they're like, yes, they get back to you and they don't just ghost you. So that's huge for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, thanks, Pam.
Hey, you're welcome. Thank you.
Did you share a recipe, or did I miss that?
I didn't.
Okay.
I really don't have one.
Okay.
Rough grouse is my favorite, and I love it anyway. I mean, I make it all kinds of different ways, and they're all really like my favorite. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with rough grouse.
No.
Apart from maybe eating it completely raw. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Right. Yeah. Apart from that, you just can't. I mean, if you don't like rough grouse, there is definitely something wrong with you.
Yeah, then we're not friends. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Beth, you're up next.
Okay, hi, I am Beth Wiltshire. I am in Northern Illinois, and we got into for my husband back into hunting actually through we had a lab short hair cross that we got as a 5.5-week-old puppy before we knew better, and he was a little wonky and he had a ton of energy and he needed a job, so we tried several things and ended up with dock jumping because he could just blast off. And then through that, we were able to end up with obedience titles by the time he was 12. But then we wanted another dock jumping dog, and we ended up getting a field lab, and he did great. And then we started hunting again because Dave had pheasant hunted when he was young. You could just get a gun after school and walk the fence rows and the ditches, but you can't do that anymore. But so we kind of got tired of chasing a flusher who was flushing the birds out of range. Like, God, it'd be really nice to have a pointer, wouldn't it? That held the bird as you got up there. And I don't even remember why I liked wire hairs, but we ended up getting our first pointer from Bill and Courtney, and he's now 8 and lying in a sunbeam. And so we have done duck hunting with the lab and upland hunting with both of them. I've done lots of field trials with the wire hair. He's done rally obedience and barn hunt, which we quit doing until he's retired because I think he started hunting mice in the field. But anyway, but now I'm interested in being able to shoot better. So I really enjoy those episodes that you do. I really enjoyed the one with the outfitter out in Montana. How fortunate you are to be near her. Was that Xcel?
Yep. Tracy at Xcel Shooting Sports.
So I have a Montefeltro that I've been using, but it's kind of heavy and it's not quite the right size. And so then I got a little Drake, but then when we had her on for a Patreon session, she was letting me know it wasn't quite the right size either. So now I think it's going to be like we did for skiing, where we just go to someone and get fitted and kind of get a prescription. My husband did that for me. We were skiing together, taking lessons, and I was trying to do the things that the teacher was saying, and nothing was working. I wasn't getting very much better. And he signed me up for a women's ski camp. And they had a whole trailer full of skis and boots. And by the time you left, they had a prescription for you. And that totally changed my skiing. So I see a parallel in that with the guns. Just getting something that fits you instead of trying to make something fit. So I've really enjoyed those episodes. I really enjoyed your puppy episode, how to evaluate a puppy. And
in our Patreon session?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, that was really nice. And then the one about pigeons. So now we've started to keep a pigeon or two for dog training. And now I've gotten interested in pigeons. I had a bird growing up. So it's kind of fun to have a bird that would come back, that you could let loose and fly and watch it come back. For hunting this year, frankly, this year's been kind of a bust. COVID has taken a number on all of our planned adventures, and Tico ended up coming up lame before our planned pheasant trip to Iowa. And I've just been working ridiculous long hours. So this has been the year of unfun. So actually listening to your episodes are a little escape and a way to get into the things that I'm not actually being able to physically do. And listening to these other people, to me, these sound like adventures. So I enjoy listening to those too. We went to grouse camp the end of September in northern Wisconsin, and that's a lot of work. Yeah.
Beth, what is your favorite bird recipe?
Well, Dave makes one that is a ginger, but I have one that I found that I adapted from chicken that is apple curry over rice. So kind of fixing those up. I know I've had some where people made duck poppers with the bacon. Those are really good, but I don't know that we've ever made those.
You didn't get out much this year, but what has been like your favorite go-to piece of gear?
Well, when we were doing some duck hunting, actually I have a few pieces that are sort of odd. My Cabela's waders that I got several years ago were, I think, the first thing that I got that was woman specific and actually fit. And it wasn't pink or lavender or teal. And so I still use that. We tried to go duck hunting this year, but the water was too low. Yeah, and then I just have a random North Face puff vest that I got in the discount bin at Cabela's. That's camo. That is it's one of the things you can squash up and stuff in your pocket and get out for a layer. So I have a lot of hodgepodge. And then my other one was another odd item. It was Redhead from Bass Pro, and it was a belt, and it said one size fits all, but it was way too big. But if I cinched it all the way down, it was just a simple clip-on belt with bags that you could take off, and they were the right size to put water in and a leash and put the bird in the back. So when it's really hot, that was a nice piece to not have to wear a vest.
What is something that you want to learn or improve on before next season?
My shooting, for sure. We have to figure out my eyes because my vision is kind of odd. And I think they think I have what they call cross dominance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm shooting right-handed, but my left eye's trying to be dominant.
Right.
So we have to, I don't know, we're trying to figure out who we can go to get all of that kind of straightened out. And I went and got glasses, but then even when I was wearing the glasses and doing what she had told us, Tracy had told us, I could realize that my head is crooked. So I need to do a lot of things to get fitted correctly so I can see.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a learning curve for sure.
But it would be fun to be able to shoot for like our training days for our retriever or NAVTA groups.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Bird Dog Babe podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and learned something from the content, please share it with your friends. Please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast on whichever platform you're listening from. Check out the show notes for links to references from this episode, as well as info on how to connect through Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you're loving this podcast and want to support the production and content, please consider becoming one of my Patreon patrons. Being a patron connects us more on a personal level, where I'm able to help answer questions and give advice. My husband William and I have bred, owned, and trained AKC Master Hunters, Field Champions, NAVTA VCs, and AKC Show Champions. We're excited to not only share what we've learned, but also listen from previous and future episode guests for additional content. Go to patreon.com/thebirddogbabe and $5 per month and you're in. Through the Patreon platform, 5% is donated towards conservation and an additional 5% is donated to the AKC Canine Health Foundation.
Until next time, Bird Dog Babes, keep them versatile.